Greetings to you this day. This is Michelle Strickland, and I'm coming to you today with my daily theology lesson. It's my daily meditation that I do for myself. I record it and I release it because maybe somebody else out there can get something out of it. It just so happens that I love God. Choose God this day. The bad guys, they sin. The good guys, we sin. We all sin. It's whom you serve. You don't have to be perfect. No one is. That doesn't mean that when you come to God's team that you don't have to deal with your consequences, good or bad. None of us get away with that, But if you come to God with your issues, He can help you get through it. You don't have to be perfect. It's not going to be an excuse for people. It's not. But it's time for us to all try to be better. If we make a mistake, just atone for it. Ask God forgiveness and move on from it, Love yourself. Because if no one else loves you, if you love yourself, you'll be okay. And never give up on yourself. Never. If you lost everything you have, if you have yourself, you have everything. You can always rebuild. For those of you just tuning in, I focus on three major religious texts: the Bible, the Quran, and I'm in an introductory Buddhist text called The Shape of Suffering. And it deals with dependent co-arising. Without no this, there's no that. And everything we say and do has an effect on our senses. I try to rotate the text twice a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on how I'm led to meditate. I'm back in the rotation for the Bible. I'm coming out of Mark chapter 9, and I'm going to pick it back up at verse 31. Hopefully I can just get through it. For he taught his disciples and said unto them, the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of men, and they shall kill him. And after that he is killed, he shall rise the third day. So they're talking about Christ, and how people just persecuted him, These are accounts. Mark dealt with accounts of Christ in different areas in the Mideast, when he was performing miracles and doing sermons and stuff like that. So we're just discussing. That's what we're discussing. But they understood not that saying, and were afraid to ask him, and came to Capernaum, and being in the house, he asked them, what was it that ye disputed among yourselves by the way? But they held their peace, for by the way they had disputed among themselves who should be the greatest. Isn't that how it is? Everybody wants to be the top dog. And what's the cost for that? I get it. I'm very competitive too, and I understand, but at what cost though? What's the cost for that? Being the greatest. What's the cost for it? It's a lot of responsibility also, no one's going to be perfect. So when you're up there, you're going to have people looking towards you and always trying to find ways to drag and pull you down and prove that you're not the greatest or that you're not good at whatever it is that you do, because everybody wants to be you when you're up there, in your own little section of your world. And he sat down to call the 12 and saith unto them, if any man desire to be first, the same shall be the last of all and servant of all. That's why, I stopped trying to worry about being first all the time. I'm very competitive though. I don't like to consider myself losing, even when I didn't really win. I don't like to consider it losing. I like to consider it lessons. But I know if it's a sporting event or something like that, it's a winner and a loser, I understand that. But I'm just saying, I don't like to get my mind wrapped around the thought of losing. But it's not important for me to be first either. If somebody feels like it's really important for them to, jump out there ahead of me, please do. Go ahead. I'll move out of the way so you can go ahead. Because I'm not trying to compete with other people. I'm competing with myself to be the best person I can be for myself, But I get it. When I was younger, I might have had that mentality when it came to certain things, But that doesn't mean we're always going to be the greatest, though, in our own mind. But that doesn't mean that we really are the greatest, you know. But isn't that something? This just shows you how people think, though. Even to this day. It's something, you know. That's why I love theology. And I love to study these texts, because you're getting life lessons out of it. You know, maybe we could learn something and avoid a few things, or do some things correctly that we hear and see these, you know, these people doing, or whatever, you know. Hear about these people doing. Whosoever shall receive one of such children in my name receiveth me, and whosoever shall receive me receiveth not me, but him that sent me. Yeah, you know, I receive Christ, and I receive God, his Father. But God's also our Father. So people get hung on that, you know. He calls himself the Son of God. Well, yeah, he is. But so are we. We're sons and daughters of God too, you know. So where's the hang up at? He was anointed, though. That's, I mean, you know, so people get hung up on things, you know. There's not going to be an excuse for people, you know. If you mess up, you just mess up. That's it. Just say I messed up and let's move on from there, you know. If you do something right, we should acknowledge people for doing stuff that's right, too, sometimes, you know. Give them just as much attention. And John answered him, saying, Master, we saw one casting out devils in thy name, and he followeth not us. And we forbade him, because he followeth not us. But Jesus said, Forbid him not, for there is no man which shall do a miracle in my name that can lightly speak evil of me. So he warned him, just don't, why worry about it? You know, why? Worry about what the other person doing. How's it affecting you, though? That other person doing something, trying to do something good. How is that affecting you? When they're doing something for somebody else, you know. So that's kind of like how it is with people. You know, we always we're looking at the other person's situation instead of our own situation, you know. Because you don't know what they've been led to do spiritually. For he that is not against us is on our part. That just says it right there. You know, why would you get mad at somebody for trying to do something good? Even if your group is not the only group that can do good. There's lots of groups that could possibly do good. So what, down them because it's not your group doing good? It's a lot in these biblical stories. This really is. For whosoever shall give you a cup of water to drink in my name, because ye belong to Christ, verily I say unto you, he shall not lose his reward. And whosoever shall offend one of these little ones that believe in me, it is better for him that a milestone were hanged about his neck and he were cast into the sea. That's why I want to try to keep my content, you know, acceptable, because I want parents to be able to allow their kids to hear this stuff. Now, if it's sometimes with the stuff that is sometimes I do content that I think is for adults. I restrict the age. I try to be, you know, it's not that it's vulgar. Occasionally, not too often, but you know, I try to avoid that kind of stuff. But I'm a person too, you know. But because the babies, we're examples to them, okay? And I want to be a good example, not a bad one. You know, I write children's stories, so that's another aspect of me. And so I really love the children, and I want them to inherit a world that isn't as complicated as it is now and degraded. And if thy hand offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than having two hands to go into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched. Don't nobody go off the deep end on that. I'm going to try to end it on somewhere where there, okay, let me just say that again. Where their warm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. And if thy foot offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter halt into life than having 2 feet to be cast into hell into the fire that never shall be quenched. I'm going to leave it right there.